This video is on the topic of domain and range. I will pause before each item in case you would like students to try the problem before I discuss it. Anytime there's a graph, my advice is to study the graph first before you look at the question to make sure you understand what the graph is even saying. A florist is making bouquets of flowers for a wedding. Each bouquet will have 9 flowers. The graph shows the linear relationship between Y, the number of flowers used, and X, the number of bouquets. So if you notice here along the X-axis, it represents the number of bouquets. The Y-axis represents the number of flowers needed. Okay, so that makes sense. If I have 2 bouquets, I need 18 flowers. If I have 8 bouquets, I need 72 flowers. So now let's look at the question. The question says, the florist will use no more than 8 bouquets for the wedding. Which set best represents the domain of the function for this situation? Well, we know in an ordered pair, our domain is our X value, and our range is our Y value. So here we're only looking for the X values, which means we're only looking for these numbers. Now, so if I look at each point here, looks like there is a point at 0. There is a point at 1. Notice this goes by 2. But right there, there's a point, which means if I have 1 bouquet, that takes 9 flowers. There's a point at 2 and 3 and 4. It doesn't matter what Y is right now because it's just asking us our domain values. And notice it stops at 8 because they're not going to use more than 8 bouquets. So it stops at 8. So it looks like our values should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which is G. So G would be our solution. We're just asking for the domain. Okay, so let's say instead we have a graph. Which graph, oops, I forgot to pause, sorry. Which graph best represents a quadratic function with a range of all real numbers greater than or equal to 3? Okay, so let's see what's important here. A range of all real numbers greater than or equal to 3. So remember, range is our Y values now. So our X values go horizontal. Our Y values on a graph go from down to up because it goes from negative to positive. So what we want to know, according to this, is which one has a range of all real numbers greater than or equal to 3. So Y is going to be greater than or equal to 3. So let's just look at each graph and see if we can tell. Now remember the range. We're going to look from bottom to top and see, does this one say Y is greater than or equal to 3? If it's greater than or equal to 3, what that means is it starts at 3 and it continues upward. Notice this one goes downward. So if I were to do the range of this one, this range starts at negative infinity and goes up to negative 3. That's definitely not it. Now this one goes up. So let's see. Our range starts here. It's where our graph starts, and it continues. So it is going to be greater than, but what number is this? This is at negative 3, and that's not what it asks. So that's not going to be the case. Same thing for G. This opens down. This is a less than. It's not a greater than. So let's look at at J. So here, if I look from bottom to top, my graph starts right here, and it continues up in a positive direction. And that number is 3. So this is Y is greater than or equal to 3. That means J is our answer because it starts at 3 in the Y direction and it continues forever.